Om Shuklam Bharadharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarvabhignopashantaye Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Yenaksharasamaamnayam Adhigamya Maheshwarat Ritsnam Vyakaranam Proktam Tasmai Paninaye Namaha Vakyakaram Vararuchim Bhashyakaram Patanjalim Paninim Sutrakarancha Pranatosmi Munitrayam Vagarthaviva Samprikto Vagarthah Pratipattaye Jagatah Pitaro Vande Parvati Parameshwarau Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Okay, namaste everyone. Welcome to class. So on the screen, we have a do now. So it says do now, complete the first 3 rows, Ushanti, Kadasi, and Chalati. So if you remember, what we're looking at is dhatus, right? So within verbs, there's 2 types of words, right? Verbs and nouns. So Tingantapadam and Subantapadam. Within Tingantapadam, we're looking at dhatu and Ting Pratyaya. So within Ting Pratyaya, we saw 1 to 10 ganas, and we saw P, A, and U. And then dhatus, sorry, the dhatus are P, A, or U. Usually, you can either, so both are P, A, or U. The dhatus are Parasmaipadi, Atmanepadi, and Ubhayapadi. Dhatus, we also saw, we have a dictionary. So we were looking at the dictionary last time, and we were looking up words, but your faces became blank after some point. I think, reading the dictionary isn't very fun. And so I can see everyone's faces became blank. So we're gonna take another shot at it. We're gonna come back one more time. I've simplified it a little bit, and hopefully it's more systematic, and so we can understand more clearly how to do this. But instead of seeing blank faces, if you have a question, just let me know in the chat, and I'll try to slow down, or I'll try to get to it. Okay. So the first one, if we see Ushanti, let's break this down a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this. Now I've made a set of rules. Now these look like a lot, but we're only going to start with the first 3 right now. So if you have a piece of paper, it might be helpful to write these rules down. So I tried to think, how was my process of looking up in the dictionary? So here I broke it down. So right now we're only going to look at the first 3. Okay, so let me add another page. Okay, so I have the verb. Let's look up Ushanti. Oh, that's really big. Let me try to make that smaller. All right, let's try this out. Okay, so there we go. That's better. Ushanti. Okay, so the first it says separate suffix from angam. Okay, so that's the first step we're going to look at. So I'm going to take out the suffix, the Ting Pratyaya, Anti, and I'm going to eliminate it. Right, that's my step 1. So step 1, I have Usha. I'm left with Usha. Right? because I took out that suffix, the anti, from the anga. So now I'm left with usha. And the second step is remove the last akara from the anga, if there is one. So here we see it's usha. There's an akara at the end, right? So then we take that akara out. So I'm left with ush. Right? So that's the first thing we always want to do is take off the suffix. When we want to look up something in the dictionary, we take off the suffix, then we take off the last akara. And then you look up in the dhatu kosha, is number 3. So let me pull up a dhatu kosha so we can do that. Okay, so I'm going to look up usha. If I start from the beginning, remember if we're looking at this, the third category is the dhatu, fourth is the gana, fifth is the pau, and this seventh, this category right here is the definition. So if I look at usha, which would be on our page here somewhere, let's find it. Oh, here it is. Ush, 1p, to burn. Right? So now I know ush means 1p to burn. So let me go back to. So I looked up it on the anga and I found it's ush 1p to burn. So I found it in the dictionary and therefore I can smile. Okay, that's it. If you found it, then you stop there. You just smile. So now ushanti, if we're trying to translate it, it means they all burn. That's not a very auspicious thing to say in the beginning of a class. They all burn. Maybe they're in Houston. They all burn in the heat. Okay, so hopefully you have those first 3 steps down. That's just an example of if we can find it. Now, the problem is sometimes we can't always find what we're looking for. So this is the homework at the end of the book, page 162. You don't necessarily need to open it because we're going to go back and forth. So you don't need to go switch. Now, same with Kadasi. If we look it up, we'll find it. Chalati, we'll find it if we look it up. But this last one, Jayasi, you see right here. So this first, second, third, this fourth, fifth one here, Jayasi. Now, Jayasi, just what we were talking about last time is if we try to look up, so let's do the steps. Let's do the steps for Jayasi. Okay. Okay, so the verb, we write down the verb. Remove the suffix from angam, so I removed the suffix si, and so I left with jaya. Now I removed the last akara from the end, so I'm left with jay. Now if I look up the anga or dhatu in the dhatu kosha, you'll be searching forever. You won't find it. So I don't have a smiley face. I have a neutral face. Okay, you can't really, I don't want you to be sad, so don't get frowny face, but neutral face. So then we have to continue to number 4. Okay, so now we can start writing these rest of these steps on your piece of paper. So number 4, if it's not found, then we use that vowel chart in the book. So let's find the vowel chart. So this chart right here, where we were looking at last time. So let me tell you what page this is on. Okay, this is page 35 of the book. You can see this chart, page 35 of the book. So this chart, if we can't find that anga or dhatu in the dhatu kosha, then we need to use this chart. Okay, so this is what this chart is for. If we can find it, then we don't need to use this chart. Okay, so number 4 is if not found, use the simple vowel chart. Okay, so I put it small at the top here, but you should have it big on your page 35. Okay, now we go to number 5. Find the last 2 letters of our anga or dhatu on the chart. Okay? And if it's found, we continue to number 6. Okay, so our last 2 letters of jaya is, there's jay, sorry, is I. Akara and yakara, right? Because it's, right now I'm looking at the word jay. Now jay ends with akara and yakara. So therefore, we found those last 2 letters. Now, those last 2 letters we look up on the chart. Do we see I anywhere on this chart? Yep, we see it here, right at the bottom. It has to be an exact find, okay? So we have to find an exact find. We see I. Okay? If it says if it's not there, then find the last letter or second. We'll talk about that. But let's go. So now we'll go to number 6 because we found it on the chart. Trace your finger to the top 2 letters of that column. So in this first column, I, we trace our finger to the top and we say E and E. Okay? We see E and E. Okay, so we can put E and E. So now we're going to look this up in the dictionary. Oh, so okay. So I have G, or I have G, and now I'm going to look those up in the dictionary. G or G. Okay, so let's look that up. If you find it before me, let me know what page it's on. Ka ka ga ga cha cha ja. Okay. So yeah, here. Perfect. G, 1P to conquer or 1P to defeat. Either meaning, it can be either meaning, right? So we found G, and you don't see long G anywhere. You see Jeev, but you don't see G. So this is going to be our final thing. G, 1P to conquer or to defeat. So now we know the word was Jayasi. So Jayasi is you conquer. Okay, after you were burned, now you conquer. Okay, that's not very clean writing at the bottom, so I'm going to erase it, but you know what I wrote. Now, I hope this is more systematic. I hope, does this make more sense than it did last time? Yeah, okay. We remove the akara, then we find where it is, the last 2 letters, and then we trace to the top. And then we look it up. Okay, let's do another example, and you can help me out a little bit more this time. If we go back, let's see this homework. Okay, on this homework at the bottom, you'll see, okay, let's do tarati all the way at the bottom. So tarati. Let's do tarati. So I'm going to write tarati. Actually, I'm going to choose a different one. This one's going to be a little bit harder. Let's do shochati. Okay. This one is a little bit slightly different. So we're going to, it's a little bit more complicated. Okay. So shochati. Now I'm going to remove my suffix from anga. So I'm left with shocha. I remove the last akara. Then it's shoch. I have to put this virama at the end. You see that little tail? That tail means I've removed the akara. Now I look up the anga or dat in the dhatu kosha. If you do it, you won't find anything, but you might not know that. I'm not going to be there with you looking this up, right? So it's, if you look it up, you don't find it, okay? So we have our neutral face. So we continue. It's not found, so we use the simple vowel chart, okay? So number 5. Find the exact last 2 letters on the chart, okay? So the last 2 letters of my word are och. Och. Do I find och anywhere on here? No. I don't see the word och. I don't see och anywhere on here. So if it's not there, then find either this last letter, chakara, or the second to last letter, o. Do we see chakara anywhere on there? No, but I see o. I do see o on this chart. Right, I see o all the way here. So, right, so I'm going to put an o. Now, I trace my finger from o to the top. So it's shu or shu. So shu or shu. Now I look that up in the dictionary. Sorry, I have to keep that chakara at the end. Shuch or shuch. And I look up shuch or shuch in the dictionary. Okay, so notice how it's a little bit different. I went from o to u, but I have to keep that chakara at the end. Okay, so if it's second to last, you have to keep that last letter at the end. Okay, so shuch. Now, if you look it in the dictionary, tell me if you need questions. Was that not clear? Because that one was a little bit different. If it's not clear, let me know. I can do another example. Okay, let's look up shuch or shuch and see if we find it. So all the way at the end. Okay, page 50, someone said. Great, thanks. So I passed it. Okay, yeah, perfect. So page 50, we see, I think, oh yeah, page 50 here. Shuch is 1P to bewail, to regret, to grieve, or to like cry for. Bewail means like to cry, or it can be for you, to be pure, to be clean, to be wet. It can be either one. Okay, we have to look at the context of what we're talking about. Usually, it more comes often in the contents of crying and regret and to grieve. So you have to see what context, what makes sense. Okay, but let's take 1P to grieve for. So So this means shochati, he, she, it grieves for something. Okay. This is what comes in the first main teaching of Bhagavad Gita. Nanu shochati panditaha. The wise people don't grieve for anything. So why are you grieving, Arjuna? Because you're not wise. That's why. Okay. It's not exactly shuch, but with. So it's, oh yeah, so it's shoch, shochati, but shochati comes from shuch. I don't know what the question is with anuswara. Because shochati doesn't have anuswara, so I'm not quite sure what that means. Okay. If anyone has any other questions, let me know. Is this clear, or do we want to do one more example? Okay, let me see. All right. So if you have any questions, I only see thumbs up right now, but if I missed a thumb down, let me know in the chat. Okay, so let's do one more example quickly. So if we look at our homework, we see tarati. Let's do tarati. So you can help me with this one. Sorry, I don't know where my chart went. It's okay. All right, so tarati. Now tarati, I take off the suffix ti, so I'm left with tara. I remove the last akara, so I'm at tar. Now I look it up and you won't find it. Okay, I'm just saving your time, but you won't find it, right? Sometimes you find them, sometimes you don't. So we go to number 4. We use the simple vowel chart. Let me see if I can pull one up again. I don't know where it went. Here we go. Okay, so we want to look at the last 2 letters on the chart. So the last 2 letters of tar are ar, A-R, ar. So now we look at ar, and we see it here, right? Ar, akara and rakara, akara and repa. So ar, we trace up to the first 2. So we're left with tr or tr. Now, can you look it up and tell me what page it's on in your book? Tr or tr? And what's the meaning? Tr, 1P, to swim. Perfect. Page 23. So, Tadati Shokam Atmavit comes from Upanishad. It says the wise person crosses over or swims across sorrow. Okay? It's same in Hindi and Gujarati, the tar, same root, right? Okay, so this is how we use the dictionary. It's a really useful skill of consulting the Dhatu Kosha. All right? Now, we're going to go a little bit further into another part, what we call upasarga. So this is page 36 of your textbook, verbal prefixes. Okay. Now there's a group of these 22 little things 22 particles, what we call little guys, 22 little particles, what we call pradigana. Pradigana. Okay. Now, it's called pradigana. Adi gana. So the group gana means group. Adi beginning with pra. So if you look at this chart, group beginning with pra. You see the first one is pra. That's why it's called pradigana. Okay? So this group of 22 little things is what we call pradigana. Now, what happens is when I have a pradi plus a dhatu, this is what we call upasarga, a prefix, a verbal prefix. Okay, a prefix, pre means before, right? Prefix. It's fixed to the beginning. So prefix, you fix it to the top, to the beginning. And so all of these could be added to any of our dhatus. Okay? So now what happens is when it's added, the meaning of the dhatu may change. The meaning of those two things together might change. So we know bhu means to be, right? Bhavati means he is, right? But when I add this pradi or upasarga, anubhu, then the meaning changes to experience. So if I say anubhavati, he, she, it experiences. Even though the dhatu is the same as bhu, meaning to be. So that prefix can change the meaning of the dhatu. Okay, page 36 of your book. Abhibu. When I put abhi, one of the upasarga, pradi, I get to overwhelm. The meaning changes. Prabhu, to appear. Sambhu, to be possible. So sambhavati, it is possible. Okay, I'll take the question in a minute. Now let's just look at hru quickly. Hru, one U to take away. Ahru means to eat, right? Ahara, food. Hru, that. So hru means to take away, but we add these different upasargas, and the meaning may change. Now, these upasarga or pradi don't have meaning by itself. Some people say that it has meaning by itself, but what we see is when it sometimes changes. It's not consistent. So we don't want to necessarily give the meaning. But at other times, yeah. So it doesn't have a meaning necessarily by itself. Hariprasad ji, you have a question?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So is anu and are they pradigana?
Yep. So if we look at, I'll pull up the pradigana chart. So if we look at, you'll find it on here.
But it doesn't start from pra though.
No, so it can be any one of these in this group. Is what we call, these 22 are we call pradigana. Now
It
any of these 20,
it doesn't have to start from pra then.
no, it can be any of them.
Oh, okay.
And when any of these are added, then the meaning may change.
I see. I thought it's called pradigana because it starts from pra in the beginning.
Yeah, so this group right here starts with pra. But like if I put them in order, then pra is the first one.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But we can take any of them out of this group.
Okay, I got it.
Okay. Okay, so we saw how it may change the meaning. Now, I want to show you one last thing. Okay, I'm going to pull up the Dhatu Kosha. Open your Dhatu Kosha with me. Now we're going to go to the second part of the Dhatu Kosha. Okay, this starts on page 64. Now here, so the Dhatu Kosha that we have by Meda Michika ji is broken into two parts. One is just the dhatus and their meaning. And the second part we see here has the dhatus with different suffixes and their meanings. Okay, so let's look at bu. Now let's just look at something in the beginning because we don't have time. Okay, let's look at let's just stay. Okay, iksh. Iksh dhatu. No, I don't want to do a dhatu. Hold on one second. Let's start with e. Okay, I don't like these. Okay, up. We'll start with up. Okay, 86. Thank you for telling me the page of bu. That would be easier as an example. Okay, let's go to page 86. You'll find bu on page 86. Oh, mine's page 87. Okay, so bu, we see in the third column, we see bu. In the second, you see all of the different suffixes that are commonly added. Now, when I add anu and bu, then I get all of these meanings: to experience, to enjoy, to suffer, to feel, to perceive, to apprehend, to try, to test. If I want to look up avis bu, so avis bhavati, manifest, to display. Udbhu, udbhavati, to arise, to spring up. So the second part of this dictionary, we can use if there's a prefix, okay, also. If there's a prefix, then we need to look at the second part because the meaning will change. Now, also it depends on context, right? Anubu can mean enjoy or suffer. So that's a bit difficult, but we have to know the context of what we're talking about. Does anybody have any questions with this second part of with upasarga? Okay. Well, if anyone has any questions, you can let me know. But in the back of your book, there's some homework. Page 162. Do all the ones that so do after tarati. Do all the ones after tarati. Okay, so do the bottom half after tarati. And then do page 163. Let's just do the first, let's do up to Buddh. Okay, the first half of 163, exercise 3. Okay, so that's a bit confusing. Bottom half of 162, the top half until Buddh is complete on page 163. So finish Buddh also. Okay, if you do Buddh also. So stop before Vad. Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break. Let me know if you need questions. I'll still be around. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha Hari Om. Oh, there's one question. What if we have the last letter on the chart? Okay, so let me give an example of that. Trying to find a good example of that. Um, okay, let me pull up the chart. I can't seem to think of an example of when this would happen. Yeah, we don't see this as common here when you just see that last letter.